Hi hand readers, in today's little video I'm going to discuss spoke-shaved thumbs. These are thumbs that look like a door wedge when you look at them from the side. In other words, the fleshy tip tapers away to a point. I'm Jennifer, I'm a palm reader and chirologer of many years, and I invite you to quickly pop over to my website. You'll find the details below. You'll find there many free articles and information about the courses that I offer, as well as info about the books that I've written. Thumbs that look like door wedges from the side are an interesting marker that speak about people who might be opportunistic. And the word opportunistic has some negative connotations because it does infer that there's very little morality involved in the motive of the person. However, there are times that opportunistic can be very favorable. In other words, to be strategic and to take an opportunity when one arises. In other words, to spot the gap. And although it's got bad press, there are certain times in life where it is important to be opportunistic. So we could find other words here, for example, being shrewd. Everything is relative to the circumstances that the client presents. One example of where one would advise a client to be a little shrewd in life is if he or she is in an abusive relationship, for example, where they are trying to escape, trying to extricate, and perhaps there are children involved, there's money involved, and one needs to be very strategic in a situation like that. I mean, these are situations sometimes where there's even danger involved. That is one example where having a spoke-shaved thumb might be an advantage for the owner. A spoke-shaved thumb could be read as that the owner is really quite devious and out to get what they can at the expense of others, and perhaps without the ethics and the morals involved. But as I say, it's always going to have the flip side, as what I always talk about. It depends so much on everything else on the hand and the various markings and features of the rest of the hands. At the end of the day, is there anything really wrong with a person who seizes every opportunity to improve things for themselves? We really have to consider that life is very much about spotting the gap. So it's an interesting topic, an interesting conversation to have with people who present with spoke-shaved thumbs. Actually, it's quite interesting too that many famous people have that. You look at the photographs of actresses and even politicians, and you might see this door wedge shape. Can also aspect sharp powers of judgment in a person. There's an astuteness that comes through with that particular marking. If the thumb is also very bendy back, then it could also signal a person who, although can, like this thing with manipulation that I've mentioned before, is that as manipulative as people can be, very often they might be on the receiving end and be very manipulable. All in all, people with spoke-shaved thumbs in this very brief little presentation, it's really about somehow being able to take advantage of opportunity to perhaps have some sense of how other people tick. So again, that could be used in positive or negative ways, and that the person may even have a certain amount of determination, that they're able to have a strength of purpose, interestingly. But it might be with that little element of, as I say, spotting the gap. Just to juxtapose that for a moment, when thumbs are padded and well cushioned, as in this image that I'm showing you here, this is a person who might be quite pleasant, unflappable, self-possessed is another term that comes in there possibly, and they also show signs of being rather caring types. In next week's video I'm going to talk about the angle of dexterity, of which I've got a huge angle of dexterity. It's this jutting out bone on the side of the hand, and there's lots to talk about that. There's several components to this particular feature that you might find interesting. I hope you'll join me next week. Thank you for listening. Bye.